think so. Okay. Be live. Come join us and bring your own music.
Two things. One.
I'm live. I'm live.
You're live?
Mm-hmm.
We'll say later.
Is it important?
No, but just remind me.
Okay.
It's not that important.
Okay. All right. So nobody's joined the stream. Wait, one person joined the stream. Just click to go live right now.
Cool.
For those of you who are watching not live, how's it going? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. I'm joined with T.
Hello.
And we're going to continue working on the small project for Itch, where it looks like we're going to be making a platformer. Where we last left off yesterday, we implemented a... What did we do? We did a lot of things, but we did put in...
the particle effect working after the stream.
That's right. We started working on particle effects, and I got it working. Hey, how about that? I'm going to take a look at the project. Definitely overboard on the particle effects, but I wanted to like exaggerate them to show them and then reduce them. We're going to get rid of that blurry one. So let's do that. Open up controllers, particle system. Actually, it's in an object of player, or maybe it's the clicky thing. Yeah, when the player clicks on it, we increase the score, we play particle effects, and we get rid of it. So we're going to get rid of the shatter particle effect, and we're going to reduce this from 28.5 to 20 and see what that looks like. Much better. Definitely need to add some sound effects, which I will do at some point. Cool. And we're going to add a new level today. I wonder if no notifications were sent out. I think that's likely to happen. Okay. Sound effects we'll do later when we're making the score as well. The music. Hey Jasmine, how you doing? We could import more particle effects, or we can make a classic animation instead of using particle effects. But let's try to make a classical animation for when we jump. Let's make an 8 by 8 animation. Very, very small. Excuse me. And we'll set this to middle center and give it a few frames of animation. Let's just do 4 frames of animation. And I want to do like a little dust cloud. And I'll kind of do the same thing, but make it look different. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but we're going to try it out anyway. It'll be a tiny little thing. I'm doing well, doing pretty good. This is going to be S_jump smoke. Jump dust. Jump dust. Let's put this jump dust animation when we on the player. And so on the step phase, when we're telling the player when the player actually jumps, we can do instance create layer, and we're going to put X, Y, layer ID will be instances, and the object will be O underscore, we actually have to make the object, we'll call it jump dust. I'm kind of going with capital, so I'll make it like that. We actually have to create that object, so these are player objects. We'll create a new player object, and we'll call this one O underscore dust jump. Jump dust. And we'll give it the sprite of our jump dust. When you put an underscore before a capital J, it doesn't look like you're actually adding a capital J. It looks more like a lowercase l. So it kind of looks like object lump dust. Yeah, Jazz, it's kind of weird. Took like a few minutes for anyone to get notifications or something. I was streaming to nobody for a few minutes. But it was fine. I need to work on my project whether people are watching or not, so I'm just going to do that. I'm here to answer questions and interact, and also try to put out a project regardless if there's people watching. So when this object is created, start animations, we can say image alpha. Kind of want it to be see-through a little bit, so we'll start by making it half see-through. Image x scale equals, actually we'll manipulate the x scale through the step. So we'll just change the alpha from the beginning, but we'll add a step that's going to animate. So this is setup animation, and this one is start animation. So what we'll do is we'll say image underscore x scale equals image underscore x scale plus rand, and then what we can do is rand range. We're going to add a value to it between a minimum and a maximum amount. Rand range, right? Where's my autofill? Random underscore range. Not rand, but random. Okay. And 0.01 to 0.1. And that's going to do this every frame. So it's going to increase in size. Maybe that's too big. We'll do 0.05. And then we'll say image underscore y scale equals image underscore x scale. That way it'll always be, it won't stretch out randomly. The y scale will always match the x scale. Hello, Dissolute Void, how are you doing? Everyone's stressed because it's Tuesday? Maybe. I mean, today is trash day. I have to take the trashes out today to the curb. It doesn't really add too much extra stress. Although you did have some stressful stuff today.
Yeah, a couple of appointments.
Couple of things. That's cute.
Trying to learn how to draw faces.
T's over here sketching. It's cool. Besides increasing the size of it, what should we do? We should make it disappear, actually. So let's have it start with 0.75 alpha, and we'll say image underscore alpha equals image underscore alpha minus random range between 0.01 and 0.05, and we'll change these numbers as we need. And that's going to keep making it lose or become more transparent, lose opacity, until it eventually becomes invisible. At the point that it becomes invisible, we want it to get rid of itself, so it's not an invisible object just sitting around. So if image alpha is less than or equal to 0, then instance destroy. It is a function, so execute the function of instance destroy on itself. So it's going to get larger and become more transparent every frame of the game until it eventually becomes invisible, and when it becomes invisible, it gets rid of the object. So it should be a simple little thing that happens. We also may need to change the X and the Y, which we can change right here, so that it doesn't appear like at the top or in the middle. In fact, we can just make it appear in the bottom middle of the sprite. And we know the sprite is 16 by 24, so we'll add 16 to the, well, we'll add 8, which is half of it. and then we'll add 24. So the middle of the X value, but at the very bottom of the sprite. So the middle bottom of the sprite, create the jump dust when we are actually jumping. And when this thing is created, it will start with this semi see-through, and then it will get bigger and more see-through as time passes until it just disappears. And let's see what it looks like in game. There we go, we got a little jump cloud. And it's like, you don't want it to be too noticeable, but it is there, and you can see it. Got a little jump cloud.
How adorable.
Isn't that cool?
It's so cool.
I kind of think I should flip it. Because it's got like one flat edge.
I don't know.
Right? Like make it 180 so that it's like a little cloud that points up more than pointing down? Or do you think that's right?
I don't know. Check it and see what it looks like.
Okay.
You could always flip it back.
What I'm going to do is increase this amount by +2 and plus 0.1. So we're going to double its size increase. I could even have the whole thing rotate. Let's try to do that on the step. Image, angle, equal, image, angle, plus random range of 1 to 10 degrees. Let's say 10 to 60 degrees. So it'll spin, actually. Let's see what that does. Oh, I gotta use a comma. 10 to 60. So we made it bigger, and we made it rotate now. Let's see what happens there. Hey, it looks better now, because it's rotating. What do you think? I know you're on a delay there. It's kind of hard to see. Should I make it bigger? I don't want it to be too noticeable. I just want it to be...
It looks good. I think it looks good.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Got a little dust cloud.
I'd make it more brown.
More brown? Yeah, because the dirt, huh?
Brown, yeah.
Okay. So I wonder if I should just code it to be brown or recolor it. Let me try to just set image underscore blend equals C brown. Is it blend mode? We don't have C brown? Let's see. C. There's no brown blend mode. Okay, so let's... What combination of RGB makes brown?
Brown? Okay.
Let me type that in. What RGB makes brown? RGB 165 42 42. So let's go and make a color. So we're going to use make color HSV. Hue saturation value or RGB. We're going to use RGB. Make color RGB 182 48 48. Hey Doc Weeze, how are you doing today? Hello Boro B. Hello Fortnite Mapper. It's good to see you guys. Google, I helped. What do you think about that? Is it too dark? Too kind of dark, but like it quickly becomes invisible.
Yeah, it's too dark. You need like a light brown.
Well, the thing is, this won't be the tile set for all of the maps. This is the tile set for this first map, because I'm going to make a custom tile set for almost all of the maps. Here's a good example of it right here.
Try this color.
Which one?
CD853F.
But I need a RGB combination. Can I do make color with hexadecimal?
I got an RGB combination too. You want that?
Yeah, I need that.
Okay, 205.
Okay. 205.
133.
133.
63.
60 thrice. Doc Weeze, you're doing. Hey, that looks better. I kind of like that. It's real dirty.
Cool.
It's a dirty brown. It looks like a jump cloud, kind of.
It's called Peru. Hey,
And
yeah,
one of
I
my
like
favorite
that.
types of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
Peruvian. Oh, so good. Another question now that we've got the little. So this is particle animations when I click on these things, and I'm using practical animations when I jump. So this little jumpy cloud is we're drawing an object that's got a sprite assigned to it, but this isn't actually a sprite. When I click things, boom, that's drawn with particles. Do you think that's excessive or needs to be changed at all? That?
I have to wait to see it. What is it doing?
It's just, I'm clicking on it and it's creating particles,
Oh, so it's like a fun side effect kind of thing?
Well, like, you want some sort of audio-visual feedback when you click on something, so it's satisfying, right? Boom.
No, I like it.
Just like that, so it adds to your score.
Uh-huh. I like it. I don't
So
think
just
I don't
like
think
that?
It's excessive, no.
Okay, good. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so we're getting there. We've got a little jump, practical animation. We've got a particle system, which we could add more particles to. Let's add some particles that spawn from the portal, like some blue. Let me load particle designer and import a new particle. All right. You think the one without blending was better? It kind of seemed like a little too gray. It did have more like difference in the color, so I see what you're saying. Is there a way to make objects have collisions? What are we talking about? Oh, in GMS? Yeah, objects have collisions. That's what I did before I made tile set collisions. You basically, you set up a collision mask on the sprite itself, and then you click solid so that it checks collision masks on the object. So you see right here you have solid. So if I select solid, like this player is solid, that way it's checking for collisions. Because I'm using tile set, I don't think I need solid on. This is for object collision, but I'm turning it on because I do want it to collide with objects as well if I decide to do that. But otherwise you would go here and you would click on collision mask and you select the mode of collision. So automatic is the fastest, and but you can set up to be collision pixel perfect and with tolerance, and you can define your own collision mask to define when it is colliding with something. So between using that, setting up a collision mask, and then selecting solid between two objects, you can check right here where it says collisions. So you would add it when this object collides with whatever things you have here, like the player, then what do you want to happen, etc. You can have moving platforms in, try to vary up the platforming. I could do that. I need to make a new map, obviously. So we're going to make a new map soon. Let's make a little particle for the portal. Since we put our system in, I want it to look nice. Whoa. Something kind of minimal. And that kind of works. Whoa. Whoa, I like that. That's cool. There we go. Like that. Okay, we've copied it to the clipboard. Let's go to our particle system at the bottom. Paste it in. Get rid of the emitter. Because we're going to use the script. Press Control F to find all instances of particle 1 and replace it with portal sparkle. Boom. Okay. And then we're going to go here, copy this. So we created a particle type. We also have to destroy that particle type when the game ends so we don't store that in the RAM. Portal sparkle. And then what we can do is duplicate this and call it portal sparkle and replace this part with portal sparkle. Let's copy this name. Should have done that from the start. And replace this with that. And portal sparkle can be behind or in front. Let's put it in front. Which means on top. So I've made a script, bypass the emitter. I made a script to call the particle when I want. And now on our portal object, we can add a step event. Animations. Let's give it a little like grow, shrink, wiggle. This can be complicated, but it can be very simple too. I've had trouble doing this in the past, but then I think I've found solutions. And instead of looking at them, I just try to figure it out again, which is amazing. Black Bullet Studios, hello, how are you doing? So what we're going to do is say image, X scale, image x scale plus random range. And how much do we want to go? 0.1 and 0.2. Do we want it to be random though? No, let's make it a set amount. Plus 0.1. Maybe 0.01. Image underscore y scale equals image underscore x scale. And then we say if the x scale is greater than equal to 1.5, then we're going to hold on, we can keep this there, put this here, and we'll say minus. So if it's greater than 1.5, then we're going to subtract. Else, if image x scale is less than 0.5, we want to increase it. Then we'll say else, we have to increase it again. Because it's going to be 1 from the beginning. So it's going to run this whole thing. It's going to make sure that the y scale is matching the x scale. And it's going to see, is the x scale too big? If it is, starts reducing it. Otherwise, is the x scale too small? Increase it. Otherwise, increase it. And if the solution here is, it won't do anything really. Because it won't be less than 0.1. It won't be less than 0.5, and it won't be more than 1.5 from the start unless I set it, but then it'll go back to 1 and be stuck. So we're actually increasing it no matter what, as long as it's not less than 0.5. What happens here is, I think we have it's not quite right, because it's going to put it over 0.5. Oh, I used a switch, didn't I? Yeah, so on the create, I'm going to set its size, set size, and growth. So we'll say image underscore x scale equals 1, and then we'll say, or actually let's set it to 0.5 from the start. And then we'll say growing equal true. So we just created a little variable called growing. I mean, just it's getting bigger here. So what we can do is, if growing is true, let me comment this out and rewrite it. It seems simple, but it can be a little tricky. In hindsight, it is simple. If growing, then we want it to do this. If not growing, we want it to do this. Subtract. And in here somewhere, we have to make a toggle that says if image underscore x scale is equal to 1.5, you may take this off. Then it's not growing. Or we say growing is false. If image underscore x scale is less than 0.5, then growing equal true. So it only toggles this switch once it hits a certain point. So when it gets past 1.5, it turns it down. And then it'll keep going down until it gets below 0.5, and then it turns it back on. And now we have like a way to control it. Otherwise, it'll go down to 0.5, go up to one increment on 0.5, and then go back down to 0.5, and then it goes up. So it stays 0.5 and 0.51, if that makes sense. So this is why we put a little switch in here. So the switch is to like turn it off, turn it on, make it grow, make it shrink. I think that should work anyway. Let's, on the step phase, also do particle underscore portal sparkle, and we'll say on X, on Y. I want it to come from the center, so let's check the sprite to make sure that it's oriented in the center. It's not. I'm going to make it oriented in the center. Then I have to move it on the map a little bit, not a big deal. That would be on the instances layer. Let's put it there. And so now X and Y will be right in the center, and I won't have to add or subtract anything. And the amount is, I don't know, let's start with 10 and see what happens. It's every frame though, so maybe we start with something smaller. Let's do 8. Actually, start with 4. So let's check out our new portal. We might have a bug or something. So it's not just a platformer, you also have to use the mouse and click stuff while you're platforming. It's just working on the first try. Really? Check that out. It's just working on the first try. I think the particle has too much of a life expectancy. Like the particles are living, they're lasting too long. I want them to disappear or go slower. Actually, let's try to manually adjust their speed a little bit. So let's go back to the particle system and go in here where we see speed. So this is a minimum speed, this is a maximum speed, this is a speed increase, so they slow down, which is good. Let's increase the slowdown, the drag. Let's increase or decrease the max speed by basically cutting it half and then cutting the minimum speed by 1/3. So we're slowing it down a lot. Let's check it out now. Oh my gosh. I'm getting better at my game as I'm bug testing it. Let's make another level. That's what we're going to do next. We're going to make a new level. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So the sparkles don't fly all the way across the screen. They just kind of fly outwards. I like it. If anything, I want it to be not so clear. The sparkles kind of look like they could sparkle more. Color. Color 3, alpha 3. Index. And then we have alpha 1, 2, 3. Let's go with a little bit more alpha value, so 75 and then 50. And I don't know what 3 numbers. It's red, white, maroon. Oh, that's just an example. The color of the particles starts, the color halfway through, and the color that it ends. Let's go with white, blue, purple. Or white, green, blue. White, purple, white, blue, purple. Let's just put in built-in colors. See, white, see, blue, see, purple. I have to be able to beat my game after all. Yeah, it looks way better. Just change the color and the opacity. It's sparkly. I love it. Okay, let's make a new level. Let's make a brand new level.
How pretty.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
Particle effects, yo.
Your dude's got, like, he's tweaking or something.
Yeah, he's got a little seizure issue. It's something to do with the tile set. Or, like, not the tile set exactly, but the way that I'm handling the collisions. He's like, he bounces. Maybe if I animate him, he won't have that issue. We should try to animate the green vest guy. Oops. Let's copy, paste, and let's, I don't know how to animate these things. Let's go like this, and then what, move it up? Or no, wait. Move 1 foot up, right? Move this foot up, and then move, like, his whole head down. And then copy this and paste this here, and move his head back up, but then move this foot up, and then copy this one and paste it again. So we've got we need this guy in between here, like that. No. Alright, let's get rid of this last frame and this frame. I made an animation.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. I wonder if I should center his origin. If that will change the collision. It probably will. It might need to be top left. Let's try to center his origin and see if that really messes stuff up. He looks like super hyperactive. It doesn't look as bad because he's like kind of animated. He's got like a seizure, but he's like still stepping. He's got to pee his pants.
He's doing the pee dance.
He's doing the pee dance. It does look better, just a little bit of animation. Doesn't quite look right though. And it didn't fix the vibration. Like the 1 pixel up down craziness. You know what I want to have is some text that starts on the screen that says like stage 1 or level 1, and then it like kind of just disappears. And so every time you go to another level, like it doesn't like stop you, it just goes like boom, level 2, boom, level 3. And like maybe I have to put a lose condition too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't lose this first level. It's just to teach you the controls. And it kind of feels, there's one more part I want to fix on the map. This little part right here. Okay, so let's go to foreground tiles, go to room editor, go to this, and I want to right click here and get rid of those two. It feels like you bump your head right there, and I don't like that. Let's go to the collision layer in view and select this and get rid of those 2 collision spots. That's better. Turn this back off. And instances, this can go a little bit more over here. This can go a little bit more over here. Probably too many of these. Nah, it's fine. All right. It looks like Tweak from South Park. Kinda does. So we need to think of a name for this mystery game. And we also need to make some more levels. We'll make more particle effects. And we'll think of more gimmicky things. I wonder if these are too big. They're kind of real big and easy to click. 64 by 64 is pretty large considering the size of the zoom. So let's create a new room. Let's call this, or let's name this, wait, let's resize this. Put this in, do I have levels? Let's make a new group. Add group levels. We're going to put level 1 in levels. We're going to call this room underscore level 02. Let's change the size to be pretty big. I don't know, 4,000 by, let's say, 2,000. Let's say 1,600. Got a big map. Now we've got a huge map. So for the background of this map, I'm kind of wondering if I should just make a huge 4,000 by 1,600 image of the sky, which I could do, but is that going to be too big of an image to load in? Is that going to, if I make stages like this with these custom backgrounds, let's just see how big it'll be. I think A-Sprite would have the lowest file size, but Photoshop will have the best looking skies. So let's just start with that and do a new 4,000 by 1,600. Turn off the grid and kind of just make a new layer and kind of delete the background, because we could have any layer become the background. And let's do a gradient with these two colors. What if I select a green? Let's start with some big puffy clouds. Oops. And then reduce the size. Put some more clouds out. And reduce the size a little bit more. Does that look like clouds? I don't know. Let's save as a PNG Photoshop, and we'll call it Sky BG02. And I'm curious to see the size of that file too, because it's a pretty large image. Wait, where's it at? I saved it here. Wait, file, save as. It's currently being, oh, it's still saving? Can it not save a file that large? Huh. Stuck at 52%. Let me go like this and copy it just in case. Wait, it must be done now. There it is. 3 megabytes for one image. Yeah, that's not going to be. That's not going to be optimized as far as. Should be a small game. If I have like 10 levels, it's 30 megabytes. If I have 50 levels, it's too big. I think 50 levels is being ambitious. Maybe 20 levels. But I made it. I'm going to throw it in the game and see what it looks like. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a sprite, import a sprite. Select that huge background. You know, when you zoom out, it doesn't look too bad. We'll call it. It's clearly bigger than I want it to be. We'll call it. Did I make a folder for backgrounds? Yeah, I did. Sprite underscore Sky BG02. Put that in the backgrounds. And then when we select this level, we can go to the background layer and select a sprite for that. And there we go. Let's make a new tile set. That's what we should do. 25 levels, that sounds good. Don't pee your pants simulator. I kind of like that. Let's turn our bugs into features. Like,
Yeah, make it so the win condition is you find the toilet.
you find the toilet.
Yeah, you're looking for the bathroom the whole time.
Uh-huh. That makes sense. Pee your pants. Don't pee your pants simulator.
Yeah. And if you like lose, say like you lose a level, make your sprite pee his pants.
Yeah, but how do you lose? Is it a time trial? Maybe. We'll figure it out. Let's make a new. Wow, it's recommending 4,016. That's interesting. Well, maybe because that's what I have copied on the task clipboard. Wait, what am I doing? I'm doing a 16 by 16 tile set, which I need 2 tiles, so the width will be 32, and that will be 16. Okay, just a small little doop-de-doop. Let's select a palette. Let's just go with this one. It's got some greens and some browns. Let's go with like this, and draw this, and then fill this in here, and then go back to this, and go like this, and then select this brown. I like Sprite, it's such a good program. It's my favorite pixel arting program. Do I want green grass on top? Looks like golf grass. What if I just kind of go like this? It doesn't look too bad. Beautiful. Let's save this as... what number are we on? 6. Let's save this as 7. This is DG Grass Tile Set 7. Not using them all. And then, what do? We go into Tile Setter. We say New. We're going to import that tile set, 7. Zoom in. Let's, just putting it in here saves it, but so now we can delete it. Then with this, we're going to generate a blob. And then we're going to select the borders to be the other one that we put in. And there we have our simple tile set. Let's select, leaving one empty space in the top left corner. That way, when we put it into GMS, it has that transparency tile. Right click and export this as an image, and then we'll call this one DG Grass Tile Set 7 Blob. Beautiful. And then we go into our resources and we add a sprite in tile sets. We're going to create a tile set, but before that we need to create a sprite. Sprites, backgrounds. Let's make a sub. Let's add a group and call it TS for tile sets. And what we're going to do is put all the things we're using as a tile set basic sprite in there. That would be the grass 1, grass 2, and so on. Sometimes they just don't go in there like they're supposed to. There we go. 4. Did we skip 5? We didn't put 5 in? Okay. That's okay. Anyway, we'll make a new sprite here. Create a sprite, import that image, v7 blob, and we'll call it s_grass07. And our new tile set will select this one. We'll call it ts_grass07. And what we have to do is go to the auto tiling and make a new auto tile. This is the part that you can get wrong. Let's see. This one, and then I believe it's this one, and then it's this one, and then it's this one, and then it's there, 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 and this is the top left corner. This is the top left of those. That one goes there. This one is that one. And then you have the top right corner, and then the bottom, and the bottom left, the bottom right, and then the transparent. We call this auto tile grass 7. We can close that, we can close that, we can close this now that we're not messing with it anymore. We're going to keep the particle system open because I plan to add more particles. Let's go back to the level. Let's add a tile set layer above the background. And what did I call the other ones? Let's see. We can close this animation. Foreground tiles and background tiles. So let's make a foreground tiles and then make a background tiles. And we also need a collision. So deco tiles and collision. Deco tiles and collision. And the collision will be using this tile set. Deco we don't have for yet. Foreground, background. Let's just select the foreground and select the grass 7. Select our brush. I was like, is that one tile? Nope, it's a huge map, which is what we wanted. Zooming in, it looks pretty good. Unfortunately, the background looks weird. Let's go like this to fix it. It's a waste of space, really, but oops, what did I press? Oh, I'm changing my tools. Oh my gosh, I can just quickly change with a pen, eraser, fill tool, line tool, rectangle. I didn't even notice these tools existed. And this is our auto tile. Let's do the line tool. Oh, but it's selecting single tiles. That's why I want to use the auto tile. But with the auto tile, I also can adjust the size for big maps like this. So let's do that. Let's quickly, wow. Let's just correct. So this is not optimized. We're not going to make it like this going into the future. We're going to do it differently. But I've already laid the groundwork, and I just want to have multiple examples and then build the game around the best. Hello, Super Boss Jason. How are you doing? Drinked a lot of coffees, man, adventure? Don't Pee Your Pants Simulator. I kind of like that one, except it's not really a sim game. It's more of a platformer game. But, I mean, does it have to be a sim game to call it a simulator? I don't know. It's interesting. Let's bring this back down. And don't want a copyright claim. Do I need the wall here? I'm not sure. I know I'm gonna have collisions here. Player can start right there. And then like, oops. I'm trying to figure out like how do you lose? I have to make some sort of way to lose, right? Typically you fall off the map and then you die. Good going, Drifty House. Things by you. Things are great. Things are going very well. You know, the standard stuff. Taking up a lot of the day is just your chores and taking care of baby and stuff. But life's good, man. How many tiles can we jump? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 4 or 5 tiles. Before I go too crazy with this, I should probably see what's easy or hard. If you fall at any time, it like puts you back at the beginning. Like walking back to the beginning would be more frustrating than just dying, right? I think I should put spikes. Oh, I know what I have to do to get here. I'll need to change the transfer object from 1 to the portal. So go to our portal objects. You know, I could use the same portal object. I don't have to make a new one. All I have to do is make a condition that checks what map the player's on. So, let's make it like that instead. So when it collides with the player, with other, oh, but the X and Y would be different. Maybe I want to, I'll have like, do I want to have an additional 24 objects when I could put it all in one? Maybe. Maybe I just want to put it all in one. But anyway, with the other object, go like that. But before that, we need to room go to. So with the other object, room, it doesn't really have to apply that. You know what? We can designate the X and Y location of the player on the creation code of the map itself, and all we have to do, instead of doing room other, let's comment this out, is we can say room underscore go to next, if they're all going to be in order. But actually, if I use room go to next, I don't have to change it for each room. And that makes it easy. It's room go to next and increase the score, because the next room will be underneath it. So it'll be here, and then it'll go here. And then on the creation code of here, we can say with O underscore player X equals Y equals. And then we decide where we want to put them on each room. That way we have one portal put a pole and a little castle next to it. Oh gosh. I'm gonna call it the Barrio Brothers. No, the Barrio Mothers. Super Barrio Mothers. That's what we'll call it. Hashtag pee your pants simulator. No, don't pee your pants. Try not to pee your pants simulator. Pee dance runner makes a lot of sense actually. Hyper Barrio Mothers. Love it. You can't just copy, you have to one-up them with hyper. Mega hyper. Supernova Barrio Mothers. 48, we'll just say 50, and then 1100 for this room. Oh wait, there is no underscore, O underscore lowercase p player is only capital. This would crash, now it'll work. And then each room, I just have the creation code do this, but like specifically say where I want them to be. That way I use the portal each time. And I just move the same object on that map. So Green Vest Guy is now a mother? Yes. Through the breakthroughs of science, Green Vest Man is a mother. Oh gosh. Well, I guess I can get that. Potato, pump, 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 pump. Boom. Oh, I forgot to set up the camera. Guys, look at that. Oh, gosh. It's not exactly what we were going for, is it? So on this next level, let's set up a camera. So we have to enable viewports, and then viewport 0, and we follow an object. We're going to follow the player. And I want to keep the same view from the other room. Let's see what it says. So I went with 128, 78, -1, -1. Okay, and then for the other info, I'm using 320 by 180 for both of the camera and the viewports. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, ba-dum. I've got a platformer here. Bang. Oh no, there's no player. Okay. Does the player have to be persistent? There's two things we need to do. We need to make the player a persistent object. So when we change room, he's still there. Then we also, on the start screen, need to destroy the player, and also destroy the GUI that draws the score. So let's go to the title, and then the creation code of this room, and with actually we can say destroy instance O_player, just like that should work. Or instance destroy. Destroy the player instance. Also, do we just destroy the camera? Or I'm sorry, not the camera. The draw text object. Yeah, I mean, wait, that's the, not that one. The score. We can just get rid of the score. Yeah, we could just remove the object, and that's simple as it goes, okay? So in the creation code, we just do the same thing. Instance destroy O_score. _score. And then when we go back to the title screen from any part of the game after it's drawn the player and we have a button to test it. Okay, so it might crash, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to press F5, and we go back, and hey, the score is gone and the player's gone. We press enter, the score's back and the player's back. So if we die, boom, we go back to the start, and it gets rid of it. And then we press enter to start. And it starts over. So we fixed that. That's good. Now the player is persistent. You know what we can do is we need to put traps. We need to put spikes here for the player to die. Because this is the first place that they're going to die. They're going to go like this, jump, miss it, and then land in here in spikes. So the player starts here, and then they could just jump into the spikes and die. The first death is, they'll be right there probably. The second death is, they'll jump right there, fall down and die. That could be the second death. So we need to include the ways to lose. For it to actually be a game, you need a lose condition, I believe. So sparkly and cool. Boom. Oh my god. That didn't work. What even is this? Hold on. Where did I mess up? 50. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm a big dumb boy. I didn't put any collision. There's no collision. So, there you go. Oh wait, hold on. You know what I could do? Select the line tool, zoom out, and go like this. Just draw a single line. Oh, my middle mouse is getting stuck. That's not fun. Boom. So it worked, basically. It's just we fell right through the floor because there's no collision tile set being drawn, which we can work on. It's going to have some stupid maps, but you know what this whole experience will do? Inadvertently, I will become a better level designer at the end. By the end of this project, I'll be a significantly better level designer than I was when I started, and that in itself is good enough reason to do all of this. Even if all the maps are terrible and the game is a complete joke and sucks, I'll be a better level designer at the end of it. It's something to think about. I think it's important not to, I don't think we're going to be able to make that first jump. We'll see what happens. It's important to not like associate your value with your things or the things that you've created. Instead, look at them all as learning experiences and disassociate your self from things that are like from objects. Like, I'm not this terrible game I made. I just made a terrible game. Or, I am not this amazing game, I just made an amazing game. Couldn't find specified tile map. So it's just bugging out, just spitting out a bunch of bugs. Tile map, get at pixel, couldn't find specified tile map. Did I not include something here? What's this object? The score? Did I spell something wrong? Collision. Foreground tiles, foreground tiles. Instances. And then, oh, top particle layer, bottom particle layer needs to be there too. As I'm jumping, there's no layer. You know, it was strange because before it would crash. Can I copy a layer and paste a layer? No, it doesn't work. I have to just go top particle layer, and then underneath add another one. F2 bottom particle layer. So they should have the same layer names. I'm wondering if that was what it was. For now, what I'm going to do is start the player next to the portal for time's sake. I'm going to go to the instances, drag this over here, start the player here. Boom. Same thing. So is it? I mean, obviously that was a bug I fixed, but there's another bug that's causing some problems.
Another one.
Another one. It's just kind of like dropping me through the ground. I mean, I guess because the player is persistent, the player is at 543, 313. So on this one, 543, 313, now he would be like way up in the sky. He'd be like up here, so that's not happening. It's transferring, and then with the player, we're setting X to 50 and Y to 1100. So X 50, Y 1100. Oh wait, maybe nope. 50, 1100, right here. That's plenty of time. That's plenty of space to catch and fall above the collision zone. There's something else that could be happening here. Wonder what it is. Let's try to just raise the player up a little bit more. Let's say 1,000. Say 60 and 1,000. See what happens. Huh. So I start falling, and then I get thrown by the collision boxes. I'm just not sure why that's happening. Yada 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 yada. Bum bum ba-dum. Like what? Let's run it again. I saw this on Twitter today. It's so true. Let's run it again and see what happens. Your program crashes. You just run the same build again without changing anything. It just like falls on the collision box and gets flung down. Wait, did I change gravity in this room to make something specific? Room physics. I'm not using a... We're not using physics, so that gravity shouldn't matter. is there any objects? What is this one? A score. We've set score to be persistent. Yep. We've set draw text to not be persistent, it's only on the start screen. Controller is persistent. Which, is this, we're even using this anymore? Oh yeah, this is to enter to start level 1 and F5 to restart the game. That's persistent, isn't it? Yep. And then particle system is persistent. Player is persistent. Maybe we uncheck solid, see what happens on the player. No, that had nothing to do with it as I expected. I got a weird bug and I don't understand what the fruits are happening. What is the portal saying? Go to the next room and change the score. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The portal is working exactly right. Something is up with the new room. When it's created, clear display buffer. Oh, holy holes, hole of the holy hole moles. Let's look at our player. Bloody bloody blah 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 blum blum blah. Boros says, I remember making transitions between levels in GMS2 was a head scratch. We did a transfer on the same map, but going to the next room, it's working. But for some reason, we're like being flung. Let's just change the spot where we're at. Let's start us and let's start at like, let's go with like 200 by 200. So we're like at the top. We're going to be like way over here. Like in the top left corner. So we're going to be falling through the sky. We'll have more time to see what happens when we hit the collision boxes. Boom. Oh, we're falling. Why are we falling to the right? Do you guys see that? Like, as we're falling, we're moving to the right. F5, enter. Do you see this? Look what's happening. We enter, and we, like, it's like we're an asteroid or something, or a meteorite. Through everything at super speed. What is doing that? Can I jump at any point? Oh my gosh. It's weird because if I hold left, my character stands still. In spacebar, like left and up, I stand still. If I don't, something is propelling my character to the right and down at like super fast speeds. It's got to be in my collision code, right? It's got to be in this chunk of monster. It's kind of, it's interesting, but I don't understand why it's happening. Huh. What's causing that to do the things? Let me erase all the collision box and see if it's still propelling me. This is interesting. Collision. Let's let's select a blank and go with the line tool and erase this. Erase all this collision. So I was holding left there. Oh, I pressed enter and it put me back on this map. If at any point I press enter, I start. Oh, because the variable never changes. I have to fix another bug too. So if I'm holding left and up, I stay still. But if I let go of up, I fall. If I let go of left, I go to the right. This is so bizarre. How bizarre. Shanan up, shanan up, shaman up. And it's almost as if I'm in a collision box everywhere I'm at. What the fruits? What the fruity pebbles? Try to start the game on this level. Okay, let's do that. Let's start on that level and see if it's something to do with the transfer or if it's something to do with that level. I'm running out of ideas on what to try, so I'm definitely okay with trying that. On our controller event, when we press enter, we're instead going to go straight to level 2. Just level 2. We'll have no level 1-ing at all. The player isn't created on level 2. It's created on level 1 and then it's carried through. So there's no player for the camera to follow and there's no reason. Okay. So also when I press enter, actually not here, on the creation code of level 2, for now, we're going to go object underscore or instance create layer x, y, you can just say 200 for now. And then on instances layer, we create him, and we say, oh, wait a minute, instances and instances, they're spelled the same. So no, it's not that. And then the object is O underscore player. So we'll create the player when we create level 2. Oh, wait, what? I'm stupid. I have the big dumbs. Guys, it has something to do with when we transfer. Because look, it works fine on the first level. This is a problem because I'm going to have to transfer through lots of maps. I mean, this isn't particularly fun stage yet. I'm just trying to see. I mean, you can't possibly fall. So this needs to be. This is about enough space. So it's 2 across and then 1, 2, 3, 4 above. 2 across, 4 up to make it. So I can go across 1, 1, 2, 3. We'll make more space, so we'll make it, this will be the first one. And I'll fall down if I go that way. Woo! Oh yeah, there's no leaving the map. Enter will just start me there again. So I wonder, it has to do with when we're transferring the player. Maybe, I got an idea. What if we destroy the player, the object, and recreate it every time we transfer? That was a good idea. That was a good idea to just try Oh, wait, what? Did you see that? I'm not supposed to fall through the collision box like that. That's not supposed to happen. Boom. I think my player just fell straight through the collision box. Hold on. I'm going to make spikes where the player dies anyway, so this part... Yeah, that's kind of dumb. You know what I can do is put a terminal velocity. Let's do that with the player object. So on the player object, somewhere on the step phase, so I'm saying move speed is 2. Let's change move speed to 3. And jump impulse, we've already kind of designed around 8. Gravity is 0.5. V speed is, let's decrease gravity a little bit. And also cap our V speed. So on the step at the very bottom, cap V speed. If V underscore speed is greater than, I don't know what, 10, then V speed equals 10. So it's only going to go that fast. Our move speed is 3, so let's say 9. If our V speed is greater than 9, set it to 9. And I also reduced gravity, so that'll change a few things. Okay, I like that. Whoa, reducing gravity. It suddenly feels much more fun. I increased the speed and reduced the gravity. It's obviously I changed the physics of the room, even though I'm not like actual physics, but the physics of the room. So I need to I need to build around. It feels much more fun though. It's better to go faster. Is that always true though? Is it too? I can make the rooms bigger and the player move faster. I feel like that's kind of fast enough though. And he jumps pretty high. This guy's got some hops. Okay, we fixed the falling through the collision box by capping our falling speed at 9, which I'm happy with. I like that. So we can fall up to 3 times faster than we can move, and that's a nice little equation there, or algorithm. Okay, so that feels good. That feels good. Maybe we reduce his jump speed. Okay, let's try this other thing. Let's have a creation code on each level that creates the player at the location we want them to be. And we can get rid of the with player, blah, 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 blah. We make the player a non-persistent object. So we turn the player to say, the player is not persistent. It's just an object that is destroyed when we leave the room. However, we're also going to put this back to 1. Room go to 1. If current room is our title, and we press enter, then room go to 1. And what we need to do is change current room variable. But the current room is in controller. Okay. So the creation code will do 2 things. We'll set the current room level, because maybe I'll use this. What's the voice? We'll set the current room to the level that the player's on, data I can access later, and we'll create the player object on each map. So there's no like transferring a persistent object and then relocating them, because I think it's causing some problems. But I don't know if that'll work, right? I think it might though, so let's try that. What am I doing? Creation code. On this one, we're saying with the current room, and we don't need to check if player exists. We just create player. Actually, we should check to see if the player exists, but we're going to destroy it because we know it can't, because if it does carry over, then it's a problem. It causes an issue. So we got to make sure the player dies. Therefore, at the beginning of every level, we have to say, with the controller, set set current room to the level, the name of the level, and then instance create layer, we make the player appear. We say at whatever X and Y location we want them to be. I want them to be at 16,250 on this one. And then we put it on instances, and then we say object player. Plateer. There we go, player. And then we kind of like copy this creation code for every level. So it'll be like, okay, now I just paste it and I say I'm going to change this to be level 2, and then we create the player. Of course, the number will change. So we can delete this and change the number to where the player is supposed to be. So on this one, we want the player to be somewhere around here. Let's say 40, 180. 40, 180. And now when we press enter, it won't just put us back on the first level. Boom. And then do we... Yes. Yes, precious. Yes! Oh my god, this is amazing. I love it. Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. We fixed it. We did it. Boro, you're a genius. Do. Thank you for your patience. Pee Your Pants Simulator. 3 years later. The fact that they call it destroy is a little confusing. I think remove would be more appropriate. Yeah. You should look at the way that GD script is written. It makes a lot more sense in that every function is pretty much named what you would think the function should do. That I've seen so far. I've only kind of dipped my toes into Godot, which I always thought it was Godot engine, but it's called Godot. You can use JS, I think. Can you use JS in it? You can use C++ and C# or GD script. I don't know if you can use JS actually. I know that GD script is really good though. It's like a kind of pseudo Python, but it's a native language for the Godot engine. I've been messing with it a little bit. I have a little platformer like that I'm starting on Godot. Of course, I don't know enough to actually do anything without watching a tutorial. Like in an RPG Maker, I can do pretty much almost anything I can imagine, and so that there's no reason that I need to actually watch tutorials on it anymore. Even though I still do if I see an interesting one. With GameMaker Studio, I still have to watch tutorials to learn how to do stuff, but I can like figure out a lot of things on my own. But with Godot, I have no freaking clue how to do things. I have to like learn how to use the engine a lot more. So there's no way I would try to like live stream that yet. Anyway, we've got it set up and our system is working. It's great. It's great. Let me catch up on what's being said. I think I got it. Set every variable that contains logic of movements to 0 on transition. I think the variables that calculates movement keep something from the previous level. Try to set them to 0 between transitions or on their default values. Oh, okay. So we could have done that, but I found another way of doing it is... no, that makes sense because there's nothing to tell it to go back to 0 when you release. So if you're holding left or right or anything when you transfer, the variables stay the same, and instead of being set to 0 and incrementing 3 or 2. It's being set to 3 and incrementing to 6. So that makes sense. That's actually what's happening, and it's good to know that on a fundamental level. But a quick fix, since we're not storing our score or things like that on the player, it makes sense to just destroy the player object and recreate the player object where you need them to be. In fact, we can recreate the player object when the player is killed. So the player object is very fluid in that it can be destroyed and recreated, and it's fine. The camera will just stay where it was until a new player object is in, and then the camera will follow the player object wherever it ends up being. So we can start here, jump through this whole hoop-de-doop-de-doo-dah. In fact, when, we didn't see it, but on this level, we started here, but a player also started over here because it was being spawned. So, yeah. We should probably include the if player exists. Spawn him at this point. Yeah, let's do that. It's a good little thing. We'll use an exclamation to say if the object exists. So this basically says if there's currently no player, if there's no player object, create a player object at this location. Otherwise, it won't create a player object at that location. And I kind of feel like we should do that as well on all of them. So we'll copy paste it. If object not object exists, O_player. A little bit better. So if the player object does not exist, create it at this location. And we'll just take that code into each room as it's created. Great, this is good. Now, you know what we need to do is make some lose conditions, right? Obviously I need to make this level be a good level and not just be some garbage that I threw all over the place. Let's go ahead and go like this, make a line, now that we know what's happening. I mean, that makes sense, Boro. That's why it was like flying off to the side, because those variables never got reset to 0 when it was transferred. They stayed where they are, and then they get incremented as you go through the next stage. So you'd have to just set those variables to 0 if you couldn't destroy the object, but luckily we were able to destroy the object willy-nilly without any real penalty. If you couldn't, we could have always mitigated or migrated code from the player object to wherever else it needs to be, even in a standalone persistent object. That way we could destroy it. I thought the timer was going to be the lose condition. That makes sense. I mean, instead of using a timer, I was thinking about it. Instead of using a timer as the lose condition, let's have a number of lives. So you get points for, I don't know, I need to find an algorithm that aggregates how fast you beat the stage and how many of the bonus clicky things that you found throughout the stage. So you could rush to the end, but like what's more important, a higher score or a faster time? And shouldn't they both be calculated into the overall score to beat? I think the timer should be used to change your score, to add or subtract from your score. Probably just add, because nobody wants to lose points because of time. But yeah, I liked reducing gravity. It made it feel better on the second stage when we have more space. I do need to check the first level again, because now that we have less gravity. Let's go to the first stage and delete this object. And it should just be created over here on the left side. Now that there's no object to create, god. What is happening? So it's saying camera, follow the object player. If the player doesn't exist, create the player. 16, 250, 16, 250, right there. Wait, is it hitting into a collision? It might, because it's left. Let's change that to 24. 24, 240. What? What is happening? That's not good. No player object exists there, does it? No, it's nowhere. No player object. Why is it just putting the... It's leaving the camera here. Do we have to... I know there's another way to control the camera. Let's say... Let me just type in some words and mess around a little bit. Room set viewport... What are my things? Index 0, V index. I don't even remember what all this is. With this function, you can set the viewport properties for any room in your game except the current one. Except the current one. That's what I want to do. I want to change. I want to enable, let me just see what else we have for viewport. Get viewport. This is what I think is happening. The player is there, but the camera is not following the player because the camera, it's just checking at the beginning, and the player is spawned like the frame after the camera says, see if there's a player there. But I would imagine the camera checks every frame, so I don't know why. I mean, obviously I can just drag drop the player in there, but I'm just confused why this isn't working. Right, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, the camera's like, oh, is there a player to follow? There's no player. Okay, ignore the camera. And then the player spawns like the frame after that happens. So the player is at the bottom being spawned. I think. Let me take this viewport and set its default position to the bottom. Right? How do we do that? Camera properties, viewport properties. Let's go with viewport properties and go X position. Right? Is it this one? No. What about this? Yep, it's this one. So 0, and I just want to drag it down like 300. Nope, 200. Yep, actually, 180. Yep. I want to see if the player actually spawns. The camera's not following the player for some reason. Wait, oh yeah, duh. That's stupid. It doesn't do anything there. Boom, boom. Try to put the code after the player on the layer thingy. So it's not spawning the player. That's the thing here. So this isn't spawning the player on the creation code. If there is no player, then create the player. That's pretty clear-cut code. Room creation code. It's supposed to happen. Try to put the code after the player on the layer thingy. After the layer. I don't understand. You know what I could do though is put this code, instead of putting this in every room creation code, let me just copy it, and on our scorecard, nope, not here, something that's already has a step, on our controller, yeah, on our controller itself, which is going to be available at all times as a persistent object. So if at any point the player, this could cause a problem though. Maybe I need its own object. Let's make a new controller. Object underscore player spawner. That's what we're going to do with this. This will be a persistent object. We'll put it on the start screen. Actually, no, not on the start screen, on the first level, and we'll make a step that says, if no player, then make player. And it'll say, if there's no player, create a player. Oh, but then the problem is we have to figure out where the player should spawn, which is not a big deal because we made another variable which I knew I would use for something. We can say we can check the current room. So if current room equals, do I need 3 or 2? Just 2. Room underscore level 1, then indent. Nope. Well, most of that. We just undo that indent, and then give a closing brace. So if we're on level 1 and there's no player, spawn the player here. And then we just copy this and change the X and Y, and so we don't need the creation code necessarily. We don't need to use every room's creation code and just check this one and then go up here and check this one. Because essentially you could remove, what we still need to do with the creation code is change this. So this we can get rid of. I'm going to comment it out here for now. And instead, on the title, put a persistent player spawner. No, not on the title. On the first level, put a player spawner. So we have a scorekeeper and a player spawner on level 1. Oh shoot. We got a bug, and then I closed the bug helper. Okay, what's causing the problem here? Current spawn. Player spawner, current room is not set before reading it. Oh, I know what's happening. Inside of current room is a variable that's used inside the controller object. So I have to reference that object when I'm referring to that variable. So if the current room variable that's stored in the controller object is set to this, then do that. Not a big deal. But still, that's not spawning a player. Yeah, I removed the player from the map to just to make sure this code would work. So the same thing is happening. I'm sure the instant creation code would have worked if this code is working. I just tried to do the same thing in 2 different ways to see if it's the code, and it's probably this code. What's wrong with this code? If there's no player, create a player. Is there something that's just instantly destroying the player? Not on the player itself. And we did drag this on here. What do we have here? We've got the controller, the draw text, and the particle system. And then here we've got the portal, a score, clickies. We'll put the player spawner up at the top. So the player spawner. No. Nothing. No player. Why no player though? Why has player though? I'm clearly saying create this object at this location. No syntax error, it's just ignoring it. Like, what the heck? What the heck, man? I'm gonna save the game and close it. Yep, that's what's happening. I'm gonna save the game, close it, and I'm going to reload the application because I am very confused right now. Tile setter, particle designer, hey sprite, Photoshop. Let's open our small project. Now that we've reloaded our sanity, let's just play it again and see if it loads a player. Okay, so it's not some kind of cache bug. It's very confusing. Yeah, I don't know now. Why the... Okay, here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to get rid of the if there's no player part of the whole equation. And I'm just going to say create this player. For now. Anyway, let's look at our player spawner. I'm going to just comment out this one. Actually, I don't need to comment it out. Let's delete it. If there's no player, then make the player. That's what we wanted to do. But right now we're just saying create this player, and then player created equals true. So on the create, we have to do this so it doesn't initialize. Player created equals false by default, and then we can make another condition, say if player created, then do this stuff. So if there's no player, if player created is false, do this stuff. Wait a minute, I have another thing I need to try. Okay, so that works there. And now that I've lowered the gravity, this stage 1 is kind of a joke, really. You could just be like, boop, haha, suckers. Easy, easy, too easy, too easy. But then it doesn't work here. Right, it gives... Oh, right, obviously. We need something that turns player created back into false. So let's try this. Let's try this now. This is going to be persistent, so it's going to be there. Copy this. And then this is for 2. Where do we want them to be at level 2? Where's the creation code? Oh yeah, I closed everything. This line. Actually, all I need is 40, 180. And on the creation code here, we'll say with object underscore player spawn, wait, capital P, right? Player spawner, yep. We need to set created, player created to false. So maybe we set that to false, and then the object, the next frame, that gives us the one frame for the player to be created, and then the camera could come in after that and follow it. I could also reduce our jump's height. It feels a little like we got some mega jump. Like, woo boy. Let's reduce our jump by 1, a factor of 1, just to hopefully it doesn't take some fun out of it. Let's not fizz, man. Boy, player. Jump impulse. Let's go to 7. Still feels good. Yep, it still feels good. Okay. We did it. Okay. Did we just solve world hunger? Guys, we solved. Yeah, 8 feels a little too spacey, but 7 feels a little tighter. Kind of like it. Boom, and the gravity cap makes it so that, yeah, we don't fly through our collisions. Yay, we did it! I'd recommend logging, though. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't used GameMaker language for a year, but having the bang outside of the brackets on your creation looks suspect. The bang outside of your brackets. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking is like, you're talking about the knot, right? You're talking about this, Oko. Hello, by the way, Oko. So you're saying like this makes more sense, right? Instead of outside of the brackets, like so, like this. Because that was the next thing I was going to try, then moving the knot symbol. Because it makes more sense the first way I did it, but for some reason. But for some reason, it just wasn't working. I mean, see, you can see that, like, it doesn't matter where I chose to put those two things. But I think going forward, I'm going to include the knot on the inside of these braces. Because it might make a difference. I kind of want to go back and just try that one thing. Possibly. Googling for GML script examples, I could be absolutely wrong. No, I was under the impression that it didn't matter if it's on the outside or the inside. But that was one thing I didn't try yet on the room creation code. Like, if this instance doesn't exist, then make it... Let's try it, actually. So let's get rid of this on the outside and put it on the inside. So if this object does not exist, create this thing for the creation code. Same thing for this level. Let's do that. I gotta know now. Just put this on the inside. And we'll just remove the... We don't have to delete it, but we can remove the oops, I actually want that open. The object, what is it called? The player spawner object, right? Is that it? Where? Whoa, what is happening? This is kind of bugged out. Look at that, it's just like bugged out. What is happening over here? Text got all buggy. What? I can't even read it. Look at it, it's all buggy. Of course, the highlight shows it. So that's the player spawner. Let's delete the player spawner and use the room's creation code, moving the not from the outside to the inside to see if it fixes it. No, it still doesn't fix it. Okay. So it's not that, but that was something I definitely wanted to try. I'm very confused as to why that doesn't work as inside the creation code. I'm going to leave it there because, I mean, that seems like the better way to do it. But instead, I'll use an object to handle all of those things. And instead, I'll manipulate a simple switch, player created true false, in the creation code. So in the creation code, all we do is change a couple variables around and let objects handle the actual creation thing. I don't know. It's code. You should be able to create anything you want inside of the creation code of the room. But apparently there's some limitations to what that can do. So instead, what we'll have it do is say, with the controller, change the current room variable name and value of the current room, and with the player spawner, just turn a Boolean value from true to false, which would cause the parallel process event, it's RPG Maker talk there, which will cause the object player spawner, which we need to put back, to run. So there's our controller, our player spawner, which will say it's false by default. So that way it creates it when on the first map that is dropped in, and you don't need that on this first creation code because it's false to begin with. It creates a player, then it makes it true, and anytime that it goes false, it's going to check what room we're on, and then it will put the player in the game depending on what room we're in. Gosh, can't talk today. Whoa, what happened to the game? What is it at? There's some weird bugs right now. Let me close this and just reopen. There it is. This is level 1. And let me double click level 2. There we go. Kind of bugged out. So level design. Okay, I got it in the stream now. But we did make good progress today. We started a new level. This is obviously not what it's going to look like. I was just testing things out. We figured out how to do the transfers. We actually destroy the player object, and we create an object. Let's make sure it's working before I kind of close it. It creates the player, and I'm still trying to figure out, conceptualize what I'm going to do with the timer. We reduced gravity. We reduced our jump height power. We also increased the speed of the player. It feels better now, actually. We added some more particle effects, and we added some warbliness, the increase and decrease in size to some of these. We animated the player. Of course, we're not going to spawn him right here. We're going to change his spawn. Or you know what? Why not keep him spawning right there? He spawns at the very top. And then we're going to redesign this map. We're going to actually design this map tomorrow. It feels better. We can move around pretty quickly. I'm going to add spike objects that if the player collides with, then the player will die. And we're going to make an animation for when the player dies, like it just maybe like a kaboom type thing, or maybe some blood, but I don't know if I want to go too gory on that. Just some pixel blood, so he like falls on spikes. And so like that'll be the lose condition. We'll make another GUI element that shows the player's lives remaining. We'll make a restart button. We already have that, but like we'll let the player know. Oh, so there's another problem. If the player presses F5 to go back to the menu and then presses enter, we're still set to so we actually need to include, let's go to the creation code here. We need to include this on level 1 because of that right there, which is fine. So we include that. It'll try to do 2 things now. So to get around that, when it's created, maybe we set it to false. I have to check this again. So let's go to the step and set it to true. When it's created, it's set to true. But something will set it to false. So, okay, it does create. If I press F5 and go back in, it creates again. There we go. So we've got that fixed. Now we need to make sure that when we go into room 2 from room level 1, does it create the player like it's supposed to? Please create the player. It does. Okay, so we made a lot of progress. I'm really happy with what we've done today. Thank you, everybody who's come in to give me good suggestions. Boro B, you're the man. MVP of the day. Oko, thank you for stopping by and leaving some comments. Hopefully you get back into GMS and enjoy GMS2. GMS2 for you, ladies and gentlemen. in the headphones, I can hear the scroll mouse squeaks. There you go. Some for both ears. We can start a Get Drifty, a better keyboard and mouse fund. I could use a mechanical keyboard and a new mouse for sure. These are like 5 years old. I think more than, 5 years. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming to live stream. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I love that I have people helping me out figure out these problems. And I definitely get more done with you guys here, giving me good suggestions and asking me questions, making me think about things that I would otherwise have overlooked. So I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Thank you for coming to live stream. Come hang out in the Discord. We're there all the time. So link is in the description below. If you want to play the last game that I created an RPG Maker MV project, an epic adventure. I've been working on it for years. I released it on itch a couple weeks ago, and I'm really proud of it. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It's free to download. Go check it out. Link is in the description below. If you would like to support this channel, I have a Patreon. I would love your support on patreon.com/driftwoodgaming. I do have a website, driftwoodgaming.com, but it's basically links to my other stuff, like my Twitter. Go follow me on the Tweetsters. And, yeah, all the other things. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I stream 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Monday through Friday. Yay, we're actually making a pretty cool game. Like, it's going to be, it's going to be what it is, but I'm really happy about this. This is cool. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.